It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. You've hired a few office people. You've had to replace a production manager this year and get a pretty big staff trained up. So in the realm of the 80-20, now that kind of pushes your boundaries of having to get into the weeds more, but also like do that push and pull and tug of war with getting in the weeds and getting out of the weeds, getting in the weeds and getting out of the weeds. Can you kind of talk through your spring, all the positions that you've had to fill, kind of how you strategically went about it, and just that struggle or that battle that you fight to try to get those people in, get them to hold themselves accountable and hold up the business so that you can be a CEO and not an operator.
That's cool. Normally it's pretty well defined. We've got our production person, we've got our office person, people know what they're doing. You have 2 or 3 people returning, and it's just a matter of, like, we got to hire 6 new people and get them trained, and they're all technicians, and that's really not difficult if you have a training system and a reasonable screening and parameters for hiring. This year has really been a challenge. Now we knew it was coming, we prepared for it, but we my production manager of 4 years was moving on. My office manager, who was doing a great job, was pregnant. She said, "I'm due in March. I'm not going to do this job with a new baby." So I had 4 months of winter to prepare for it, but no revenue. But we replaced our production manager, our office manager, and we hired an operations director to be my boss and tell me what to do. But that was a big hire for us. It was our first real, actual significant salary job. But what a huge challenge. One, I had to define that role and then help her, guide her into it. But we did that in the wintertime. And I did watch my savings balance dwindle as I'm paying somebody. There's no revenue coming in, and I'm working with somebody specifically on a high salary in my business to get them dialed in. Then we, as soon as she was she had marching orders and she was comfortable to a degree with what she was doing, it's now we got to get the office manager on board before we get busy. And my job was to hire and train our technicians, and I acted as production manager, which was not a disaster, but it was not 80-20. I worked a lot of hours, March, April, and early May. But we, it's define what you need, put it in the marketplace. Okay, we're going to hire these people. You hire and screen. It just took a lot of time. But once we got people on board and started getting the wheels turning again, it's okay, everything's going to work. Everything's going to work. Matter of fact, it's going to be great. We had our first big team meeting when everybody's there around the table. It's March 16th, and we've been hearing about this thing called coronavirus. And we had a protocol for safety. It was everybody needs to, wash your hands, disinfect, do this, do that. And we had masks. We passed out. And 2 days later, we shut down for 2 weeks. It was I told everybody 2 days after that, I'm by the way, so this was Wednesday, March 18th. I was today, everyone needs to file for unemployment. I don't know how this thing's going to go, but it's probably not good. And if we don't need, to lay people off, awesome. But if we do, you'll be really glad you're ahead of the 5 million people that are going to file in 2 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. It took, that was, a fun challenge. It took us 5 weeks to get the shifting sand settled out so we knew where to step and go, okay, we're here. Sometimes things happen that you just I don't know how to 80-20 it. I know the rules, I know the principles, I know you delegate this, delegate that. And you're what if nobody knows what's happening? How do you figure your way around it? So we just got real busy working on keeping everybody steady and handling the customers that we had. But now, so fast forward to today, so we're in mid-June. I promoted one of my guys that he had the experience, but not really the leadership skills. I've been training him on soft skills, get him reading a book. We meet every other day. So he's taken over as production manager. He's actually doing a really good job.
Nice.
His second day, he yelled at one of the employees in front of other employees. And then when that employee left, he talked bad about them for the rest of the afternoon to the rest of the staff. And so, he got his warning and almost fired him. And now he's doing an excellent job. He's so positive and so clean. He's ooh.
But it's such an easy mistake for somebody that is a technician and used to being a peer, right?
Yeah.
Feel like they got some power and they're going to let everybody know. But then they go back. I mean, the the yelling at somebody seems like a power trip. The talking about them afterwards seems like back to being a tech and being a peer and kind of gossiping about it and talking.
Yeah, going back to gossip and bullshit.
Yeah.
And but now he's doing a great job. Our office manager is stellar, and my operations manager handles most of my load. So, you know this because a couple of weeks ago, I was so frustrated by the amount of work I was handling. And it's funny because if you get to a point you're like, I need to lose weight. Well, you know how to exercise, you know how to eat right, but you just don't do it. Like all it is a decision to go, I'm just going to do these things. So with my own business, I brought together my key leadership and I said, hey, look, here's the program. And I drew it on the whiteboard. I'm like, you're here, you're here, you're here. Any question about this goes to you. Any question about this goes to you. If it's about marketing, you can ask me. If Kathy can't resolve it, she's our operations, then she will, it'll escalate to me, but you don't bring it to me. Matter of fact, you don't bring anything to me. There's somebody else can handle that. And with a 45-minute meeting, I cut my workload by about 60%. I'm like, I'm such a, some days I can just be so dumb. Like I could have done that a month ago, but I didn't.
Yep.
But the day I did, I was so happy. And
it's interesting too. We're always afraid to tell people not to come to us. And I think there's definitely a skill set in deflecting is not the right word, but redirecting.
Redirecting.
Yeah. Like the ability to say, hey, I could answer that for you, but if I do, I'm doing somebody else's job that they get paid to do, and they like getting a paycheck. And in this case, that person's you. Like if I answer that question, then I'm kind of doing your job because that's something that I hired you to do, and I totally trust you to do it. And if you want to make there's certain decisions where I trust you to just make them, and you don't need to check with me. There's certain decisions where I'd like you to make them and just give me a heads up. And then every once in a while, like maybe every 3 months, you're going to run into a decision where I'd like you to run it by me first. And here's a couple quick parameters. Unless know those parameters, know your problem solving leeway and what I trust you to do, and just go do it. Like the fun part of your job is to go make money and go add value. So don't let me take that from you. If I do that for you, then I might as well fire you because what the heck do I need you for if I'm doing your job? So you go enjoy your job and enjoy getting paid for it.